Hello, 7th grade, it's Miss Odell. This is Monday, November 30th, and today we're going to be starting on lesson 2.1. We're going back to chapter 2. We did chapter 3 recently, and now we're going back to pick up chapter 2, which is percent basics. It's coming from student pages 66 to 68. First thing I want to talk about is, what does percent mean? Follow along with me and take notes. On page 66. It tells us here that a percent represents as a whole of 100. Now, a percent is also another way to express a decimal, fraction, and a ratio. Okay, so percent means, here's what the definition is. It's in your textbook, but it means parts per hundred or hundredths. Now, the symbol we all know for percent looks just like this. Some people will write it like this. Either way is fine. Sometimes you will look into your t-shirt and it will say 100% cotton, or maybe even 50% rayon, 50% cotton. That means that half of the shirt is made from rayon, half of the shirt is made from cotton. But when you're looking at a fraction, and let's say that the shirt says it's got 25% rayon, 75% cotton. Well, 25 over 100 as a fraction would mean 25%, which is your part, and the whole is the bottom part, which represents 100 because it's in 100%. Of course, this would read as 25%. Okay? Now, let's move on to the next slide here. We're talking about percent to fraction. Because percent means parts per hundred, a percent written as a fraction or ratio always has a denominator of 100. Okay? Or that is, it's 100. Stay with 100. Or equivalent. An equivalent fraction. So the numerical portion of the percent will be used as the numerator, which I just talked to you about. That would be your part. And once the fraction is written, you always want to reduce the fraction to its lowest terms. For example, they give you the example of 45%. That is written as 45 over 100, and then that is also reduced to 9 over 20. So that is a percent to a fraction. Okay, so you take the whole number and you write it over 100. Now, let's talk about a percent to a decimal. Okay, so if you have 32%, and we want to change this 32%, we have to change it to a fraction, 32 over 100. And then we're going to change that to a decimal, and it's written like this. But how do we do that? Well, if you read here, it says when 32% is written as a fraction, it can be reduced. But instead of reducing the fraction to lowest term, the fraction can also be converted to the decimal, which is what we did right here. Since percent means part per hundred, the decimal can be moved 2 places to the left. So when you're going from percent to the decimal, you're moving your decimal, which would be here, and you always move it 2 places to the left. And that's what made it 0.32. So when you have a decimal, you move 2 places to the left, 2 decimal places, okay? Now, let's do some practice on these. So if you are asked to write a percent to decimal, again, you are doing what? Moving your decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, so if you're asked to write 25% as a decimal, you would simply, you would simply move your decimal 2 places to the left. Your decimal is here, so you jump 1, 2, which would be 0.25. If you are given 517% and you're asked to write that as a decimal, you are still only moving your decimal places 2 places to the left. Remember, this is your whole number, so it goes 1, 2, which would be 5.17. If you are given 0.11% and you're asked to change that to a decimal, well, look, here's your decimal. It starts here. So you've got to move it 2 places to the left. You're still going to the left. 1, 2. So here's your decimal. You annex 2 zeros, and it's 0.0011. Okay? I think this is probably the hardest part of this lesson, but you got this. Now, let's do another here, which is a decimal to percent. In this case, you're going to do quite the opposite. You're going to move your decimal 2 places to the right. So when you're going from a decimal to a percent, you're going 2 places to the right. When you're going from a percent to a decimal, you go 2 places to the left. So if you're given a decimal of 0.57, you're going to move your decimal 2 places to the right, which is and that equals 57%. Okay? Let's look at another one. What if we have 3.57? How would we change that? Well, you're still only going to move your decimal 2 places to the right, which would be 1, 2, and it would be 357%. Let's do one more for practice. Let's say that we have 0.024. You're still only going to move your decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2, which is 2.4%. Okay? So that's pretty much what we're going to be practicing on. Your assignment for this section is on LMS, so please do not hesitate and let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here to help you. You guys have a great Monday. Thank you.